Hey, anyone who thrived in whiteness, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was fun. I hope that you guys assimilated and had your little picnics and your little dinners and your little jobs and your little businesses. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was fun. Now that it's crumbling to the ground, I hope you see that this is a black person's world. Good luck.
The fundamental problem with it is that the European continent is bankrupt. It is resource light. It has virtually no natural resources. It required an empire to feed it on sweetheart terms with the energy that it needed, with the minerals and with the wherewithal for an industrial life like Germany once had, like Britain once had, but shorn of that empire, and the days of European empire are long gone. There are still some hangovers dotted around the place, but by and large, the European days of empire are gone. We have nothing except our added value skills, academic skills, medical skills, skills in various high-tech fields, but we can't even make a computer. We can't even make a mobile phone without Bolivia. We can't make a computer without the DRC, the Congo. And the rising powers will simply not allow us to reconstitute ourselves as a European empire, assuming Britain, not a member of the EU, is regarded as being a part of that European empire. It will never fly. It will never go off the ground. It will be like the dodo, unable to fly, plump, and a very easy target for the new kids on the block.
Black people are rising as white nations are falling apart. That's my title, I think. Confirming who are the chosen ones. You know, since I was young, I grew up knowing that white nations are the chosen ones. White people are the chosen ones. Why? Because of the mentality they put on us. When we went to school, this how we were taught. This white man discovered this, Vasco da Gama discovered this, Dr. Livingstone did this. So automatically as a child, we grew up knowing that white people are the chosen ones. When we were watching movies about Jesus, about Israelites, you know, they were painted all white. That's automatically, we believe that they are chosen ones. Now, you know, back then, I think I was still living in a lie that black people never did anything, in a lie that black people history started from colonization, from slavery. But right now, I see black people are rising each and every day, and white nations are falling apart. It's confirming to me that they were not a chosen one, but they built their empires on top of lies. Now, Grand Rising, my family. Welcome back to my YouTube commentary. You know I love you so much, okay? I love you so much, and I thank you so much for being here. Now, I said this, for centuries, they have been telling black people we were cursed. And even ourselves, we believe that. And even I've had interviews of black people believing that Africa is cursed. Black people are inferior. As ourselves as black people, we were declaring by our own mouth that we are not enough to them. Okay? Now, what is happening right now is prophetic. What's happening right now, I'll say it is spiritual, because their system that we trusted, their system that we thought it's mighty, it is collapsing. Their economy is shaking. Their politics divided. Their societies are confused. Okay? Well, at the same time, black people, the very people that are tried to break, very people that they tried, are standing stronger, are standing taller, and more united than ever before. Now, this, as I said, it is not a coincidence. It is prophetic. It is history catching up. This is God of black people, the creator who never abandoned black people, showing the whole world exactly who his chosen ones are. Let's watch these clips and then we continue.
From the United States to Europe, it truly could not be more clear that Western civilization, the greatest civilization that ever has and ever will be, is over. We are living in the ruins of a once great civilization, and what we see around us is just the twitches of the already dead body. We don't produce, we don't create, we don't dream, we don't excel, we don't act. And what's so horrible about this is think about the sheer amount of blood, sweat, and tears of kings, of saints, of warriors, of the most incredible, brilliant intellectual minds that the world has ever seen that went into creating Western civilization and also went into the effort to give it to us as the heirs. And what are we doing? What was all of that for? What was all of that sacrifice for? So that we could have same-day Amazon delivery, so that we could sit in bed all day watching Netflix and smoking joints or taking out a loan for a Chipotle burrito? We are comfortably numb while the world literally burns and people are getting murdered in the street. The barbarians are not only within the walls, but they are in charge of our politics, our courts, our education, our entertainment, everything, while we distractedly feed off of the carcass of what's left of the West. And here's the rub, because clearly progressivism is not the answer. That's nothing. But neither is so-called modern-day conservatism. The answer is not to flee the cities and go live where there's no other people, or to never leave your house, or whatever else. Why should we have to hide, run, and scatter? The onus rests completely and entirely on you to get up and act, or else we will all be culpable for the greatest civilizational loss of all time. But what's the answer? The only way that we are going to get out of this is a major unification around a single force and one common conviction, and that is Jesus Christ. He is the one who built Western civilization to such excellence and such glory and such achievement, and it is only through him that we will be able to have any chance at saving the West, and I truly believe it will be by the skin of our teeth.
Western civilization is collapsing right now. It's not just the United States, or just the UK, or just Canada, or just the country you happen to live in, or just the country or countries you happen to not like. It's the United States, Canada, pretty much all of Europe, possibly Australia, possibly New Zealand. It's the whole shebang. It's not just one country or even one region. Follow me for more advice on how to set up location-independent income so you can escape the collapsing West.
The continent of Africa is circa where the US was 150 years ago. It's where Central and Southeast Asia was about 25, some might even say 30, 40 years ago. I'm a numbers guy, so you'll excuse me. All you've got to do is just look at the numbers and understand the metadata. We're now 1.3 billion people, 54 countries, it was now 55 with the splitting of the Sudan. Of those, there are 4,000 different languages and indigenous dialects. There are over 1,000 different tribes. Those are the high-level numbers. If you dig even deeper, look at just the median age. The median age of an average African is 19. The median age of an average Nigerian is 17. So I want you to think about it this way. Nigeria has 200 million plus people. Half of those people are so young that they're not yet economically active. Here's what that means. So if I want to understand what the investment case is for investing in Nigeria, I look at the fact that you've got 200 million people, half of them are unemployed because they can't yet work. And when they can start to work, they're all going to need the things we all buy. They're going to need cars, they're going to need homes, they're going to need bank accounts, they're going to need medical insurance. All of these are things that they're going to need. They're going to have children, get married. All of these are the investment cases for the continent.
Europe has fallen, not in the tidy cinematic way they like to imagine. No grand finale with church bells tolling over a misty battlefield. No noble speeches carved into marble. No, Europe has fallen the way bread rots when left in the rain. The way a chandelier crashes in slow motion, scattering glass teeth across the floor. The way a once arrogant banquet table is now overrun with rats. The silk tablecloth sagging under the weight of mold and maggots. This isn't the fall of Rome. It's the fall of a nursing home. It's the collapse of a myth held together by powdered wigs, imperial cosplay, and the brittle bones of a continent that lived far too long off of other people's stolen futures. The currency, weak. The birth rates, a nosedive into extinction. The cultures, reduced to museum gift shops, and TikTok videos about heritage pastries. Their once mighty empires are now theme parks, visited by tourists who pay to watch them pretend they still matter. Paris smells like piss and burnt sugar. London drowns under its own rain, and Berlin pretends that techno is a civilization. They're clinging to NATO like a drowning man clings to a floating door. Except the door is also on fire, and it's made of debt. Every invention they stole now runs better elsewhere. Every colony they bled is outpacing them in growth. Every lie they told is now archived, translated, and live-streamed back to them in 4K. Europe has fallen not because it was defeated in battle, but because it ran out of people who believed in it. Its own children are jumping ship, refusing to speak the languages of greed and conquest, turning their back on a legacy that smells like gunpowder, incest, and grave dirt. The cradle of civilization has become the hospice of history. Its only exports are nostalgia and weapons it can't afford to replace. And the worst part, they can't even pretend anymore. The mask has slipped. The paintings have cracked. The crown jewels are just shiny rocks in a glass box, guarded by a man in a funny hat who can't afford dental care.
You're not doomed yet, but in all of world history, there has never been a civilization that has so opened its doors to another civilization that is openly hostile to it. So this is unprecedented, what's happening. Your ancestors of Europe, and I describe it in my books because I write about history, fought tooth and nail to prevent Islam from entering and conquering Europe, because that was one of the grand plans and went on for century after century. From the east, the Turks were trying to enter Constantinople. They surrounded Vienna in 1683, and before that, the Muslims, I told you, went up into Tours in France in 732, 1,000 years later. This was an actual goal. And now Western Europe is saying, oh, none of that matters. It was a misunderstanding. Come on in. But they haven't changed. That mentality, and when I say they, that's obviously, I'm simplifying. The mentality that I've described is part of Islam. It's an Islamic concept. So the Islamic State, you're told, oh yeah, they have nothing to do with Islam. They've twisted it. No, they haven't. They are a representation of what Islam, the caliphs, the sultanates, the emirates, that's how they operated. The heads of Islam, the grand imams and the muftis said the same exact thing. Okay, so that is what it is. Again, it's not my point to arguing, oh, well, this particular migrant wants to conquer you. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's looking for a good life. I understand that, and that's what makes it complicated. But to just open your borders completely to that demographic, which has within it, not all of it, but within it, that kernel of animosity for Christians and so-called infidels, and the imperative to conquer the world in the name of jihad for Allah, which they're the good guys, keep in mind. They never see themselves as the bad guys. This is one of the issues with all conflicts. They're not bad guys. They're good guys in their minds. You're the bad guys because you're infidels, and they're trying to bring the light of Islam to you. So that's another aspect of how moral, or the morality that they feel. They're the good guys, okay, in doing this. Because look at you, Denmark and Europe, you're all dissipated drunks and, profligates, and, there's no real... I'm sharing with you their arguments because I read it and I hear it. So they're bringing to you goodness, okay? But before, your ancestors, because I guess they had their own social order and their own goodness, and it was called Christianity, were able to fight it. But I guess in this current void of sort of this atheistic climate, anything goes, and who's to say they're wrong? Maybe they're right, etc., etc. And now you have what's happening. So it's a very unprecedented experience. A lot of people talk about the Roman Empire, this sort of thing happened, but it didn't, and we can get into that. It was actually, they were still cognizant of trying to maintain their own social, cultural mores, Rome. And it fell to the Goths and the Germanic peoples. And I'm just saying, some people use this analogy, but in this case, this is completely your doing. Not you, but it's Europe's doing. Okay, you're bringing a hostile force that's openly hostile, and lo and behold, when I look where Muslims are, I see chaos and violence and criminality and rape and grooming in England. Okay, that's what always happened under Islam. Okay, so is there a hope? I think so. I hope so, in time. But it's so bad that it even had to get to this point. You know, it's such an abnegation and betrayal of your own heritage, of these men and women who fought and died to preserve your way of life against an open, hostile force, and now they're being welcomed in, and why not? It's okay. So I guess so. It's a matter of time.
So where's the hope? Excuse me. So where's the hope? You said there is
the hope is to wake up, wake up and see what reality and what I'm talking about, and understand the history and the doctrine of Islam and what Islam is all about. Islam is unequivocally hostile.
Welcome back. Now, when you look around the world today, when you look at Europe countries, when you look at America, United Kingdom, economies crisis or economic crisis after economic crisis is hitting them up. In France, protests shake the streets. In Britain, the empire that once claimed to rule the seas, okay, people can barely afford energy. It is reality. It is on the table. We are seeing it. People can barely afford food. In America, the so-called land of free or land of the free, okay, divisions are tearing the nations apart or the nation apart. Their politics are in chaos. Their economies are unstable. Their young people are losing faith in the very systems their ancestors built. Why? Why are they losing faith in the system that their ancestors built? Because their ancestors built the system in the back of black people through lies, through genocide. They soaked the system in the blood. Okay? Now, there are societies which once looked so confident, so proud, are now confused or are now consumed by fear, depression, and hopelessness. Family, while nations are falling, to be precise, while white nations are falling, it is not by accident. The falling is not by accident. They are falling because every system built on oppression, every system built on lies eventually destroys itself. You cannot enslave people. You cannot colonize nations. You cannot steal resources and expect your empire to stand forever. Never. And when you look closely, there is a divine law that says everything done in darkness must come to light, and everything unjustly built must eventually collapse. Now, when you look at America, the very wealth of that nation was built on the backs of enslaved Africans. Wall Street itself was once a slave market. Cotton, sugar, tobacco, the industries that build the greatness of America, the industries that build or the influence of America, the influence of the industries that made America to be great, all of them were watered, all of them were trimmed, all of them were taken care by black people, by black blood. And now, the same America is collapsing under its own lies. Why? Because the truth is coming out. There's fighting between themselves, drowning in debt, unable to face his truth. Not America alone. Look at Europe right now. Their museums are full of stolen African golds. You go to Europe countries, you go to Europe banks, reserved banks, all the artifacts, the golds that have been reserved came from Africa, and it was stolen. And it was not just stolen. There's this stealing, you steal without unaliving anyone. But this was stolen. But where those golds were being stolen, they left hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of people unalived. They have sacred artifacts, and they enriched themselves by carving Africa apart at the Berlin Conference. They sat down in Berlin Conference and shared Africa like a loaf of bread. Africa that had millions of people, children. They shared it as loaf of bread. But now, right now, I'm telling you free and fair that it's not a lie. You see, they are facing the crisis they cannot escape. They are facing this crisis they cannot escape. And while they are facing this crisis, Africa is rising. Okay? The very continent they looted, it never died. The very continent they stole, it was never erased. Okay? Right now, we are rising. We are refusing to bow. The leaders they used to control right now are being rejected by the African youths. The youths they used to brainwash are standing up, and the future is shifting away from them. So do you see the irony here? Do you see God's hand here? The same nations that told us that God that abandoned us, that God has abandoned us as Africans, the same nations that painted black people as cursed, are the ones trembling, are the ones shaking, are the ones collapsing right now. Okay? Now, look at black people, look at Africa, look at the diaspora. Look at how, despite the centuries of pain, we are still rising. In music, in culture, in style, the world copies us. From hip-hop to Afrobeats, from fashion to language, name all of them. You know, black expressions dominates global culture. Even when they mock us, even when they hate us, they cannot stop imitating us. And that is not just culture, that is power. That is spirituality, or spiritual confirming that the chosen ones cannot be erased. Oh no, you cannot be erased, God's chosen people. So, in economies or economics right now, as Africans or black people, we are beginning to wake up, because black America right now alone represent over 1.6 trillion in buying power. So if that shifts, if that buying power shifts to black on black business, that means we are going to break the internet. Let me say that. Africa, on the same hand, is the home of fastest growing economics in the world. Countries like Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, name them, Nigeria, they are becoming hubs of innovation, technology, creativity, you know, even when the media tries to hide it, because the media will always focus on the negative side. For example, in Nigeria, the media will always focus on old president, Tinubu, a lot of people, corruption, you know. In Kenya, the media will always focus on William Ruto, Gen Z protests and everything, but they will not protest on, or they will not focus, or they will not even try to say something positive what's happening in Kenya. They won't say about the tech hubs. They won't say about the innovations, okay? They won't say about the creativity that is going on in Africa. They are trying to hide that. And spirituality is the most important part. We are waking up spiritual for generations and generations. For a number of years, they tried to strip our identity. They did that, but we are bringing it back, okay? They cut us all off from our ancestors. They told us to worship their gods. They brought us their God. They painted him white. And they told us that yours is fake. This is the real God. Yours is black magic. This is the real God. Right now, black people across the world are reconnecting. Right now, youths are questioning some preachers like, what the is this? Why do you teach us this? But we are questioning, because we are realizing right now that leaving our God was the worst mistake we did. But it is biblical, okay? It is prophecy. So black people are reconnecting right now. Yeah, we are realizing that the God of black people never left us, and he was simply waiting for the right time to reveal himself, or to reveal us black people as his chosen one. Okay? Family, I know you can feel it. I know you can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel it. You know, the protests that shake the streets, you can feel it in the way young Africans are rising, are rejecting colonial leaders. You can feel it in the way black people are demanding respect. You can feel it in the way black people, Caribbeans, are demanding reparation. You can feel it not just in America, but everywhere. If you're black, I know you can feel the shift. If you're black, I know you can feel that God's hand is in everything that we are doing. This is not just survival. This is a resurrection. If you don't feel resurrected as a black person, then let's connect more with the ancestors. Let's connect more with the God. Because I can feel the power shifting. I can feel the superpower shifting to the continent. I can feel the unity of black people across the world, across the global. It's causing, it is shaking the systems and empires. And they are just seeing dust. We got everything. Starting from uranium. You know what I'm saying that? Okay? Now, in a prophetic dimension, I'll say this. What you see happening right now, it's not just politics, it is not just economics, it is not just culture. Somebody said, every empire does not last up to 250 or more than. He came up with empires that some fell at 240 years, 250, around 255. When our ancestors were chained in the belly of the slave ship, or the belly of the slave ship, many of them prophesied. With their last breath, they prophesied. They say that one day our children will rise. One day our suffering will turn into power. One day the nations that break us will themselves be broken. They prophesied. So this is prophecy. And they were not just empty words. Okay? Those were declarations. Those words were declarations carried across generations, and now we are living in the fulfillment. I don't know if you are seeing that. I'm grateful to be passing information, even if you knew this, but I'm reminding you day after day that you are strong, you are loved, you are beautiful, you are amazing, you are chosen one. Now, think about this for centuries. Europeans claimed that God was on their side. They made him, they brought him, they painted pictures of a white Jesus, they painted pictures of a white Mary, of a white heaven, and they made us black people believe that we were outside of divine favor. It is reality. Personally, I thought so. Personally, I thought so too. But ask yourself this question: how could the God of truth stand with the oppressors? How could the God of truth, could the God of justice stand with enslavers? How? The God of justice standing with colonizers and thieves? No, family. We were played. I don't know why we didn't knew that, but we were played for so long. The true creator, the God of black people, stood with us in the fields, stood with black people in the chains, in the rebellion, in the struggle. Come on. And this is why the story of Hebrew in the Bible has so deeply with black people. Because when we read of a chosen people enslaved in Egypt, crying out to God, waiting deliverance, we see ourselves. That's not coincidence. That is revelation, and we are the ones who carried the same story in our blood. Now, right now, the world is watching. Okay, the world is watching the same script played out. White nations, the modern pharaohs. You understand that they are falling into confusion. The plagues are hitting. Okay, while black people, on the other hand, are stepping into liberation. So the God of black people is making it clear: His chosen ones cannot be destroyed. Okay, and do you see why they fear us? We have been saying this, why they fear us. It's not just because of our strength. It's not just because of our brilliance. It is because deep down they know the truth. They know the truth. The truth is that black people are the chosen people. And that is scary. That is scary. Even history confirms we are chosen. Even history confirms we are chosen. When Rome fell, Africa still stood. Britain, Africa still stood. Many kingdoms like Kush, Mali, and Ethiopia, were mighty. So when colonial powers carved Africa apart, they thought that we will never recover because we had our own empires. Okay? But today, their empires are gone. Africa is still there. Africa is still uniting, refusing to bow. Just imagine, Africa, we have gone through hell. We have gone through a lot. Black people have gone through a lot. But we managed somehow to come around and still smile in the midst of all this chaos. Black Americans, black people across the world, they've gone through oppression. They've gone through racism. They've gone through a lot of atrocities. But in one way or the other, they find ways to be the happiest people ever. They find ways to create the better system of sports, fashions, music, name them. They are the entertainers of the world. They are the influencers of the world. They are everything of the world, inventors and everything. Okay? Under Jim Crow, under apartheid, for example, in South Africa, those who created apartheid, they fall. But black people, black South Africans are still there. They went through apartheid movement and now they are rising. Okay? So we have a lot to say. I have a lot to say on this. I'm seeing the hand of God and I can feel it. I can feel it. Black people have been rising. Leaders like Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah, name them, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and many others. They were raised from among us to lead movements that shocks the globe. And that is not coincidence. That is divine orchestration. And today, African youths, today, diaspora creativity, my God, still leading the culture. So if black people were not the chosen ones, then we would have been erased by now. That is reality. Africa will never be there. Gone and gone forever. But instead, we are living proof of the God's hand on us. Or I will say, God's hand rests on black people. Okay? And we are talking about biblical, we have Gen Zs. Now, I want to give modern signs that we are chosen. Look at the white Gen Zs. White Gen Zs right now are rejecting the systems of their parents and choosing black culture. Why? Because they know they are not sugarcoating. They wear our style, they speak our slang of black people, they embrace music. Because the spirit of the chosen ones cannot be contained. Even those outside us cannot resist gravitating towards black people. African politicians or African political landscape, it is shifting. Nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, Nigeria are standing up and France is breaking. So everything. White nations, while they descend into confusion, into mass shootings, drug epidemics, political chaos, black communities are discovering unity, rediscovering pride, rediscovering power and identity. The contrast is clear. If you are feeling this moment, if you are feeling it, tell me in the comment section. I have a lot to say, but I will say more on the next episode, okay? Tell me what you think on the comment section. Until next episode, peace out.